goodness. I asked Congressman Van Drew to stay because we all know, and please be seated, we all know that these are very serious times that we live in. Tonight, we're a nation that's at war. We have a representative form of government. I think a lot of the people in this room know that our country is not a democracy. It's a representative republic. For every person that's in this room, with rare exception, our representative is Congressman Jefferson Van Drew. We trust him with our vote. We trust him with our support. We trust him to be our voice in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. these days, it's not political to say at this august evening that it's pretty messed up. Things are not good. We're still the greatest country in the history of the world, but everything that I have done since I've been a dad has been to do all that's within my small amount of, if you want to call it power, I don't use that word, influence, knowing governors, knowing the president, knowing our senators, knowing our congressmen. I want to rest one day and know that I left my children and my grandson and my nephew, Christian, because Noah and Christian are like brothers. They're not cousins at all. They're brothers. I want it to be how it was for us. Almost everyone in this room can say that our parents worked hard. Maybe they immigrated to this country. They worked hard. They worked long. My father left. I couldn't believe what time my father got up every day and went to work. It was very dark. I would hear him. I would wake up, look at the clock, and almost every day not believe that he was doing that for us. But what our parents did, they left a better country for us, and their parents left a better country for them. It's our responsibility to leave a better country for our children and our grandchildren. And raise your hand if you are sure. My father was part of the greatest generation. Multiple Purple Hearts, Bronze Star, medal. Unbelievable. Came home, went right to work, never talked about it. How many people, and I knew that my father was leaving a better place for us. We have so much more materially than my parents were able to provide, but we didn't feel poor. We felt rich. We had everything that we needed. We had shelter, we had food, we had clothing, we had support in everything that we did. Remember, if you're my age, and I am a senior citizen now, so please, I was very, very pleased. I have only 8 steps to the podium. So thank you, Friendly Sons, for that consideration. I just look at what our parents and our grandparents did, but I'll tell you what I'm not sure of. For the first time, I think, maybe in American history, how many people could raise their hand that you are sure that you're going to leave a better country for your children and grandchildren than your parents left for you? Raise your hand. It's a smattering. I believe it, but it's a lot of work. It is not easy. Congressman Van Drew and I have talked about this a lot. I believe that we are in the most challenging period since the Civil War. This is the challenge of our time. I'm very confident in our military. I'm not going to say anything political, but I'm an American, so I will say it's disgraceful for anyone to not support our military right now. You don't have to like who the president is. You don't have to any of that. We got Americans that are serving, and we have Americans that are dying. And as Americans, we have to support them. And if you think about it, and I made this prediction a quarter of a century ago, I said we are witnessing perhaps the last time in our lifetime that America is united. And that was after September 11th, 2001, when 90-some% of the American people, we were all together. The newspaper printed flags. People drove with flags on their car. They put it in the window. You held the door open for someone you didn't even know. That was a terrible attack, and we lost thousands of people. But guess what? We became closer as a nation, but a terrible thing happened. Bad politics got in the way, and people wanted to win elections more than they wanted to love their country. And we have to be divided now. In order for one side to win over the other, we have to be divided now. And that was mentioned tonight, unity. We have to be united. So I ask you to stay with me, Congressman, not because you're pretty, you're very handsome, but I think it's very important that in our representative republic, that we hear from our representative and share with all of us, Congressman, how things are going. We read, we listen, we hear, we watch. How are things going right now relative to our military being at war?
I promise you all I won't be long, because this is really about Harry and Margie tonight, so I don't want to digress. And Harry did ask me to do this. So, let me say this to begin with. Our military is doing well. We're very focused. We have the best military on the face of the earth. You know this, you've heard it. I don't worry about us prevailing in any confrontation. We're beating the daylights out of them. Ayatollah Khomeini was an extremely dangerous, evil man that was exporting terrorism around the world. You know that, and would have absolutely used a nuclear device if he could, and absolutely they were developing them. So we're doing the right thing, and I pray to God we get this over very quickly. And I will say this, no boots on the ground. No boots on the ground. Just to allude to what Howard said, the bigger challenge and the bigger danger, and I mean this, and I'm being as sincere as you can imagine with you, is the future of America. I'm in Washington. It's not pretty. It's not. I'm not going to lie to you and say the buildings are pretty, they're beautiful, the columns, the statuary, the history, you're walking down the same halls that greater individuals than I ever will be walk those halls. That's not the problem. It's some of the people. And we've lost our way. We have lost our way, and there's no doubt about it. And it's a great battle, because at the end of the day, what this is all about is not whether we have the strongest military in the world. We do. Not whether we can be the strongest economic force in the world. We can. The battle is whether we want to be. Do we believe, and this is really truly, in everything that I do, in the committees that I hear, in the committee that I chair, do we believe in American exceptionalism? Do we believe that the United States of America is the greatest nation that ever existed on the face of the earth? And that is a prevailing thought, and it used to be the wisdom of individuals, 90%. There are many now in Congress who believe that we are not. And I tell you the truth. I'm just telling you how it is. It is. It is. They believe that we are not. And they believe in something called globalism. It's not an invention. It's not some thing that's made up. Yes, we are responsible as a world. We love human beings if we're faithful. I have a feeling that most everybody here is. And for those of us even that are Catholic, we're taught that we have to take care of those around us. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that America is the same as every other nation, that we're mediocre, that America is going to be defeated, that America will retreat, that America will be diminished, that America is weak, because it does not need to be, and we are not. This is, in my mind, the greatest, and in our mind, the greatest nation that ever existed on the face of the earth. That is the battle that we're fighting right now. It's a real responsibility that we all have. Every man and woman in this hall tonight, in this beautiful place, has that responsibility placed upon them. You do. You may not know it. The individuals, I went to a Lincoln Day dinner the other day and I spoke about Lincoln. Lincoln didn't know when he was running for president initially, or when he was running for Congress, or all the challenges that he had in his life, that this huge, heavy, unbelievably difficult responsibility of keeping the country whole and together during the greatest challenge, as you said, in our nation's history. We are at that precipice in a different way. So we have to decide, are we globalist? Are we like everybody else? Are we mediocre? Maybe even worse than some? Or are we the shining city on the hill? Are we the nation that leads? Are we the engine on the train? Or are we the caboose? I believe we're the engine. I believe we're the shining city on the hill. I believe that everything Harry just talked about, I believe that we have that responsibility, you and I together. And it's not going to be easy, and we're going to have to fight for it. And it is going to be a bumpy road. It's not going to be smooth all the time. And sometimes you're going to win, and sometimes you're going to lose, but you never give up. So, I'll end up with this. Be unafraid. Be unafraid to declare your faith. Be unafraid to declare how you feel about this country and how we are a good country. How many times you hear something, I don't mean argue with your family or argue with your relatives or neighbors or anything like that, but you hear something and you say, gee, I should have said something. I should have said something.
Never.
Sometimes, good. Sometimes, though, you should say something. And most of all, believe, get involved, stand up. Do not retreat. Do not diminish. Do not fall back. Do not be weak. Believe in America. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do this. We can continue to defy history. Because history teaches us that every great nation, after a period of time, it rises, it peaks, and it falls. Now we have to see that this nation, that the men and women who were amazing gave us, our founders, whether we can excel and go beyond what history always does. I believe we can. I believe we can. Harry, you know I wasn't quite done yet, because we're going to ask Margie, I'm going to ask you to come up here too. Come on, you're part of the deal. So I have a few things for Harry and Margie, and then I am going to shut up the rest of the night, I promise you. But the first thing I have, come closer so I can talk on the microphone, is a proclamation, and as you know, this comes from the United States of America. It has a great gold seal of the United States of America on it. The second thing I have, and let me find it here, is a challenge coin. Challenge coins were started in the military. We know that, go all the way back to the days of ancient Rome. I'm going to give you the abbreviated explanation here. The Roman soldiers, they could tell whether somebody was a friend or foe by the challenge coin they had very often. World War II, we had challenge coins. They were smaller, they were plainer, because we were saving the world and we had to ration and save every bit of metal we had for our planes and our tanks and our military. So they were small, they were plain, but they're very meaningful. They're kind of neat if you ever can see them. All the way through Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and ladies and gentlemen, the many, many battles, wars, and skirmishes we have bled American blood all around the world, maybe sometimes a little bit too much. But it's also for people that are extraordinary besides the military. Police, fire, rescue, Eagle Scouts, individuals. I gave it to a community nurse the other day who have really done something amazing in their community. You too have, both of you. This challenge coin, take a look at it. On the front, the great gold eagle of the United States of America. In the back, we have this depicted. In fact, Chris Chin, who's sitting right there from my office, put this all together, right, Chris? And it has the pine lands in it. It has the farmlands. It has the beaches, the bays, the meadows, the 177 Fighter Wing, and it has the Coast Guard. I have the largest congressional district in the state of New Jersey. Just so you know, when I'm late for things, it's bigger than the state of Delaware. Now, when you give a challenge point, you shake hands. It goes from my possession to your possession. We will not drop it, and then there's one last little story. What Harry may or may not know, this will part for me. What he doesn't may or may not know, and Margie, goes for both of them. If I ask them and I see them somewhere, do you have a challenge coin on you? And if they do not, they got to buy me a drink. And I like really good single malt scotch. I don't drink beer, so just so you know, I'm getting ready. Third thing is I want to offer you and your family, I know you've been there before, but we have a VIP tour in our office of the Capitol, and if you want the White House as well, that anytime, could be this month, next year, 2 years, that's yours, whatever you would want it. The last thing, and this is the last thing, and then I will sit down. So I like to give speeches, you can see that, I haven't shut up yet. And I like to debate, and I like to argue because I believe in this country. And I get into some really, I'm on Judiciary Committee. If you like to debate, that's the place to be. A lot happens there. And I go through those fights. But my favorite speech in the world is to talk about somebody from South Jersey who's achieved extraordinary stuff. So I'm going to do another speech on Harry in the Capitol. I will have it electronically transmitted to you. Again, I'll electronically transmit it, and if Harry so chooses, no, he's not going to get a choice on this, I'm sorry. He can share with everybody if he chooses, or he can keep it to himself, both of them, but I'm going to request, and it will be granted, that it will be made part of the permanent record of the United States of America. And I've never denied a request. Congratulations.
I love our congressman. I love Jeff Van Drew. Right, so there's one other thing, because my initial words, I do have a few things I want to share in a moment, but could I ask the Friendly Sons president, who was installed tonight, Bill Bradley, to come up? Would the immediate past president, Mike Morris, please come up? And would the next chief of police from Egg Harbor Township, Michael Finnerty, please come up? So this is the troika right here, and they came to my home in August, and they said, Harry, we would like to make you voted, and we would like to make you the man of the year. And we were in our living room, Margie and I, and this amazing group, that I've been on a text message thread with Lisa as well. Applause to Lisa, Mike's bride, awesome, for several months now. So we took it very seriously. I'm not big on just taking an award and not doing my part. So I said, gentlemen, I accept, and I'm going to work very hard. So you always say that, and then at the end, it's self-evident whether you were all talk and no action. So at that meeting, I said, and the Hurley in the Morning charity, which I'm very proud, over the last 20 years, we have raised over $2 million. Many people in this room, Senator Hurley and many others, have regularly contributed. It makes it possible. And I do want to say congratulations. I was going to say that in my remarks after this little surprise that I want to do with the gentleman. Congratulations to all the scholarship recipients tonight. We have given out a lot of grants, millions in grants. I have spoken to, it's a number I can't even qualify, dozens, hundreds of students who have said, without your scholarship, I would not have been able to go to college. I want everybody in this room to understand that a college might cost $40,000, it could cost $70,000 a year. These $1,000 grants and other grants that students aggressively go after to earn a Friendly Sons, if it's a $1,000 grant, is huge. And there are students that would not be in college or be able to graduate. So I want you all to know your contribution to this organization will make the difference between a college graduate and someone that might not have been able to go to college in the first place. It's very meaningful. So congratulations to the 6 recipients. I hope that what we have helped to do this year means there can even be more, but that's for the committee and this organization to decide. But what I'd like to do is just share with everyone that I like to under-promise and over-deliver. It's not a fake-out. It's that we will do this. We will give you a $5,000 grant on top of working hard to sell tables and sell ads. And of course, this organization, it isn't me, it's this organization that sold all these ads. Frank Finnerty, who is a legend, said to me at the very beginning, he said, Harry, you're going to break my record. Frank's record is a quarter of a century old, I think, 2001. So I said, all right, well, we're going to give it a go. Records are made to be broken, right, Jay Hurley? Although his have not been broken. It's true. So anyhow, we did break the record. We broke the record for guests in attendance. We broke the record for ads sold. But even before we broke the record, because I don't want to be off-putting, but I knew we were going to break the record. And you knew we were going to break the record. And Frank Finnerty put the pressure on me to break the record. I said, all right, Frank. He was at my home in our driveway, a lot of snow, a lot of ice. I came out and met Frank. He handed me a program book from last year. He said, you're going to break my record. I said, all right, Frank, we're going to do it. I promised that we were going to break his record. But I want to share with everyone, I didn't think the $5,000 promise that I made, and that's just the side thing that we did. That wasn't about selling tables and doing things. I gave thought to that, and then I decided to up it. And then I gave thought to it again, and Margie and I talked about it. I wanted to up it again. So Margie, instead of $5,000, would you display, and these funds are in their hands. There it is. So that is $12,500. $12,500. And what I'd like to do is we get a picture of all of us with the big picture. The former record holder. Former record holder, please. Oh, you're the best.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
It was such an honor to do this. So you have a flavor for what's been going on for weeks. If this was printed out, it would be just hilarious. Every day, and this has been for weeks, this 3-person Me For thread that was going out there with Mike Morris, Michael Finnerty, Lisa, and Bill Bradley was just, hey, we got another table. Here's the names. Hey, we got another ad. Here's the ad. And we just got jazzed up every single day because every time we sold a table, do the math. I understand, I don't know the economies of scale because I didn't have anything to do with how much each person costs. But I know that if we're getting $130 a ticket, a good amount of that is going to the charity. So I'm thinking in my head, every table is close to a scholarship. We're getting very, very close. 10 ads are in fact a scholarship. So they're great. They have no associated costs with them. So every time we got one, we would regale. And I really believe we became brothers during this. So it's awesome. So again, congratulations to the scholarship recipients. It is awesome, and I love listening to the speeches. Of course, I want to thank Congressman Van Drew for your very kind introduction. I love you. And I'm going to step away from the podium to just show off my tuxedo. This tuxedo, I'm very pleased and proud to report, is courtesy of Craig Tanzola, Formal Dimensions. Thank you, Craig. Mr. President, would you yield me a few more minutes so I can actually do the speech I came to deliver?
Absolutely.
And I believe me, I recognize I'm the only person keeping you from that door. So I'm very mindful of that. It's a humbling experience. I want to thank the selection committee for picking me, and Margie, because this is a team effort. I want to thank the gentlelady that came over to the table and said about 5 minutes before Congressman Van Drew stepped to the microphone to introduce me. And she said, Harry, you don't know me, but I listen every day. Is that Margie? Your wife is hot.
Yes, she is.
So I married well, and I married up. And we've been married 45 years. I got special dispensation, not from Monsignor Hodge. Margie was 12 at the time. So do the math. I'm younger than I look. But it's just such an honor to be here for 91 years. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, Atlantic County. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, South Jersey. have celebrated faith, heritage, friendship, and service to community. And has that not been on display tonight with every single thing that has gone on? The student scholarship winners, you're the next generation, and I really meant that when I said it. I believe it's the job of all of us parents and grandparents to ensure, and it's your job now, you're adults, to make sure that we honor what our parents and grandparents left for us. And even though some of my remarks were a little bit scary, I did say we are the greatest country in the history of the world. And that's not past tense. We are right now. But we can't take any of this for granted. This wonderful organization, I learned, was founded by a founding committee, but a real driving force was Senator Frank Hap Farley. And a great man, who I got to know when I was a child, and in fact, for 2 years, I delivered his newspaper 7 days a week. And that was really the first job in my life that taught me about getting up early. You had to get up before school. It was dark out. Bundle of papers, had like 150 papers. Harry and Don Hurley, the twins, 2 bundles delivered by the Press of Atlantic City on a big truck. You'd hear it hit the ground in front of your house. You'd go out. It was usually the 6 o'clock hour, and you'd fold these papers and you'd go out. Harry went out the front door, and I made a hard left. Don went out the front door. He made a hard right. And we had the whole basic, side of Ventnor covered from Sacramento almost to Margate and a few blocks towards Atlantic City. But one of mine, I even knew it at 11 years old, one of my very important homes that I delivered to was Senator Farley. And I knew he was the senator, and I'm just a kid, and I don't know what I know now as an adult, but I knew that he was important. And I knew that it was important that I get the paper there and that I put it close to the front door so they could just open up the door and pick up the newspaper. And on my first Christmas, I knocked on the door. I lived 1 block away from Senator Farley. We lived, my brothers and I, my sisters, we lived at Sacramento and Ventnor, right across from St. John's by the Sea Church. We would hear the church bell every Sunday. And then he was 1 block over towards Atlantic City. I knocked on the door, and Mrs. Farley said, Harry, she always paid me every week. She said, you will have to come back when Senator Farley is here. I said, yes, ma'am. So I came back, and I've told this story a few times on air. Senator Farley said, Harry, my boy, put your hand out. I put my hand out. He shook my hand. He said, Harry, I'm going to teach you the $100 handshake. I'm 11 years old. I don't even know what that means. Shakes my hand, squeezes it, I'll never forget, had it folded in a little square, pushed it into my hand. I said, thank you very much, Senator. Walk out the door. I open my hand up. I never saw a bill, a dollar bill that had 2 zeros after the 1. And I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't wait for my father to get home from work. My father comes home, and I said, Dad, look at this. And I pull it out and fan it out. He goes, where did you get that? I said, I can't believe it. I said, Senator Farley. I said, I've never seen anything like this. The $100 handshake from the senator. He was in his next to last year in office, but I only know that when I became an adult. The next year comes along. Harry, my boy. No, I'm running. That's my first stop that day, when it's the week of Christmas. And I knock on the door, and I never got him the very first time, although every other week when I would collect on Sunday, Senator Farley was in the kitchen. I saw them all. Sonny McCullough's dad was back there. I saw all these people, and I was very young, but I knew, big stuff is happening in this house. And the way the house is laid out, it's just a straight shot, so you could see them in the back. So Senator Farley comes out, and I didn't assume that I was getting the $100 handshake, but I was really hopeful. And he shook my hand, pressed it in again, and he didn't say it's the $100 handshake, because he knew I knew. And I went outside, and sure enough, for second straight Christmas. So then I was able to do things like I bought my mom a dress for Christmas. I bought my father a suit, like a whole suit, 3-piece suit. And I still have plenty left over. So the fact that Senator Farley, I know it's the committee, but I think if everybody just accepts this as self-evident, Senator Farley is the founder of this organization.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And I'm so proud that we crossed the generations, we closed the circle, and the 11-year-old paper boy that got the $100 handshake is somehow, it's an amazing country, isn't it? Somehow the paper boy is now your man of the year. So just a few other things, because I do want to just share with everyone that, because I did know Senator Farley, and I knew his wife even better. And they were just, and I never, it was always just Senator Farley and Mrs. Farley. Just always, just respect. And they treated me like family. And I mean, who gives the paper boy $100? I should look it up. Forget the 35 years and number 19. Oh, on Talkers, I might have the record for the year 1971 and 1972 as an 11 and 12-year-old to get the $100 tip from one customer. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna call it a record and let somebody fight me for it, challenge me. It's a record, because that's a lot. You know, a lot of Christmas tips were like a couple dollars, $5, $10, $100 handshake. Because this is an Irish celebration, it's only appropriate that we include a little bit of Irish humor. I did listen to our esteemed president talk about the fact that Irishmen, Irish people, there's basically two great gifts: storytelling and the ability to stretch a short story into a very long one. How are we doing? But I promise this is not going to go on and on and on and on. There is an Irish observation that I've always loved. Could I have your attention? The Irish are known for having the gift of gab, which is fortunate for someone who has spent the last 35 years talking on the radio. But tonight, and this word came up as well, and I promise you it's in my written notes here, so we're all thinking alike. It's deeper than humor, it's deeper than speeches. Tonight is about gratitude. And I'm very grateful, because I have an amazing wife that has supported me. There were times in our life we sold our bicycles. I sold a baseball card collection. We were young. Margie robbed the cradle. I was 21 years old. And Margie was 1 year, apologies, older. And, you know, so life is not easy, you know, and I'm so blessed. And so I thank Margie. I won the lottery of life. I think every time I make a presentation, I say two things: I married well, and I married up. And I always remember, it's been much better. I'd say the second half of the 35 years. First half, no Man of the Year, no Hall of Fame, no Broadcaster of the Year. The first half was tough. Kids were younger. They had to deal with things that I would say on air, because I think people learned that there was nothing that they could do to me. But if you hurt my children, you give me the deepest wound. So my kids had to deal with that, and were always very, very good about it. They had to deal with it in school, you know, reading the book. Lauren, I think it was Lauren, it could have been Kristen. They had the book in the class, Harry the Dirty Dog. If you ever notice, Harry is always a schlub in the TV commercial. It's unbelievable. Prince Harry, I'm sorry. But Harry always, I think Harry gets a bad rap, to be honest. But I want to thank my children, Kristen, Lauren, and Robert. Could you stand up? They have model beauty-like looks that they get from their mother. And they're just the best children that a dad could ever want. And this rather tall fellow, if he could stand, he measures in tonight at 6 feet 4 inches tall. That is Noah Hurley Baker. That's my grandson. And Christian, would you stand up? Christian Hurley Fitter. Christian is my nephew. He is my sister-in-law Lisa's son. And I really believe this. Noah and Christian could be running the country in the next 15 years. I know it sounds like a doting grandfather and uncle, but I'm telling you, they are everything. They're kind, they help people, they contribute. Christian, your GPA is? Lisa, Christian GPA is? It's way beyond 4. I heard 5 tonight, and I stopped what I was doing. 5.0. He's close to 5. Noah is 4. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're so smart. But I'll tell you another thing they have. A lot of common sense. They're really, really plugged in. They know things that at 18 I didn't know. They're very impressive. I'm so proud of them. And they say, and I believe it, that the kind of happiness that you get can only come from a grandchild. And I look at Christian, I don't look at Christian as just my nephew, it's way closer than that. So thank you to both of you. I want to thank my brothers Jay and Don, my sister Karen, my sister-in-law Mary Jane, Jay's wife, I mentioned Lisa, my niece Katie, and her great husband Matt. And of course, extended family, friends, and colleagues. Chuck Malamud is like a brother to me, and I could just keep going on and on and on about that. Atlantic County has been my home, it's been my audience, it's been my inspiration. And I do sometimes pinch myself because I am in a business that often throws people to the curb in about 6 months, which is a Nielsen rating period. Usually one and done. I have survived 70 Nielsen rating periods, 70. So we're a 2-metered market, two books a year. So that is a blessing to actually have an audience that makes, and it's, I hope a lot of people in this room, applaud if you've ever listened to the show. So we're very, very blessed, and we know it. We take the responsibility seriously. We do the work. We don't mail it in. I think I could just wake up at 5:30, drive to the station, fire up the engine, and go on and say something at 6:06. But no, that's not the way we're going to do it. A lot of things I've been noticing. A lot of things are happening. It's sort of the speed of Trump. I watch every day in the 3-4 o'clock hour. I mean, major stuff is happening before most people are even awake. So it's pretty amazing. I would like to close by saying, and this was an Irish thought that I thought was pretty beautiful, and it goes like this, and I feel this way especially tonight because I know almost everyone here, but I met people that I hadn't known before that, quote, "There are no strangers here, only friends you haven't met." So looking around this room, I can tell you that Atlantic County has always felt exactly like that to me. I accept tonight's honor with a full heart, with deep gratitude, with great humility. If the young newspaper boy that delivered the paper to Senator Farley could see this moment standing here at the 91st Gala of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, what an honor being recognized by this incredible organization that I just see amazing things now and into the future. I wish the new president, Bill, all the best in the world. I feel lucky, and this was something else that I thought would be a nice way to close this. May God bless the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, South Jersey. May God bless the scholarship recipients and their bright futures. And may God continue to bless this wonderful community we all are proud to call home. And as the Irish like to say, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. And may we always remember that the greatest honor in life is not the awards we receive, but the people we share the journey with. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in and Hurley.